yourself thinking, what should I make for dinner today? And you happen to find some 3-day-old rice in your fridge, then let's make some fried rice together. If you're committed to the fried rice game, which nobody respects more than me, you can make it fresh. Rinse your rice at least 3 times or until the water runs clear. Add enough water up to your first knuckle, then click the correct setting and wait. When it's done, spread it out on a cookie sheet in the fridge for at least 30 minutes to flash cool. One of the first steps is going to be cleaning the leeks. Once you've cleaned the leeks, make sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to separate the whites from the green part. And then if the tops of your greens are looking maybe a little bit wilty, maybe they sat in the fridge a little too long, just trim off the ends and you can add that to your veggie stock freezer bag. We're gonna finely chop this. And then I like to just do a spot check and make sure everything is looking really clean, which these are. Then we're using 2 tablespoons of salted butter along with a full teaspoon and a half of white miso paste. Go ahead and add that to your leeks. And then as you guys know, I can't resist a good getting my hands dirty moment. You can toss this in a bowl and add it to a cookie sheet later. I just like to do it by hand because then you make sure everything is evenly coated. Oh, these leeks are strong. Okay, when everything is nice and coated with that miso butter, make sure everything is as spread out as possible, and then we're gonna get these into the oven. Now we need to process the rest of the leeks. We're going to cut them really small. We're gonna be using 1 medium carrot for this. We're going to chop this into a similar size as the leek tops. And then near the top of the carrot where it's a little bit thicker, sometimes I take those coins and then just cut them in half. The awesome part about cooking for yourself or your family is it doesn't have to look perfect. And then the last thing we need to get ready are 2 garlic cloves. I prefer fresh garlic. I think it adds a ton of flavor, but you can also sub in garlic powder too. Now that all of our prep is done, we need to make some fried rice. Let's do it. With our prep done, and before we cook anything else, we need to cook our shrimp. When the butter is just starting to bubble and you can hear that it's a little bit poppy, we're going to add the shrimp in. After about 1 minute, you should see that bottom layer of shrimp starting to turn pink. We're gonna give everything a good stir. Using a slotted spatula and a paper towel, I like to spoon the shrimp onto a plate lined with a paper towel so that it can absorb moisture. To a hot pan, we're going to add our leek tops. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of water. Give it a really good stir. The water will help soften the leek tops quicker, and don't worry, your rice will not be soggy. You can see that the water is basically evaporated. It's time to get a little oil in here and start seasoning. And then the lightest touch of salt. We're just doing a seasoning as we go, but there's a fair amount of other seasonings, so don't over salt at this stage. All right, we're gonna let this just saute for 3 or 4 minutes until things are starting to take on some color. The leek tops have been in for about 10 minutes, so let's check them and maybe give them a stir. You can see that some are starting to get a little bit crispy, so we're just going to give them a slight turn about the cookie sheet, as I say. And then get them back in the oven. The leek tops are starting to get browned on most sides and they're feeling very soft. Next, you're going to add in some chopped chicken sausage, pork sausage, or even a couple pieces of cooked bacon. Add in the garlic clove that we chopped and the carrots. Give everything a stir. We're gonna saute this for 1 minute and then add in the rice and some more oil. Taking your leftover rice or that cooled rice that we kept in the fridge for a little bit, we're gonna crumble it in. It should be pretty dry if it's truly dried out leftover rice. I'm using about 2.5 to 3 cups here. Add in a little bit more butter or oil of choice, a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, and about 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. And then about a teaspoon of soy sauce to start. Mix until combined. Break up any large chunks of rice that you missed with your hand or the spatula when you put it in. And then continue to mix until everything looks like it's well coated. And then you're just going to flatten the rice out and let it cook for a little bit on one side. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. Everything is looking really delicious. So we're going to crack in and scramble an egg. Your pan should be hot enough that it starts cooking pretty quickly, and if not, no worries, just let it sit for a minute or 2. Well, like 30 seconds. And then when you see it mostly cooked, we can incorporate it into the rest of the rice. So get it probably 75% there. Okay, and then mix it in. As soon as the egg is done being incorporated, add in your shrimp. And since our rice is almost done, I go ahead and just turn my oven off where the leek tops are cooking. With that shrimp, add in more soy sauce, about another teaspoon, and then just a slight drizzle of sesame oil. Mix everything up, give it a taste. If it's not feeling like fried rice, add in a little bit more oil. All right, this is looking fantastic. Let's get the leek tops out of the oven. They're well cooked, still have a little bit of green in them, and they're gonna add a ton of that miso butter flavor. I like to add in a few of the leek tops now, and then I'll put a little bowl on the table for everyone to serve their own. Now let's eat some dinner. In an effort to get dinner on the table quickly, I like to serve this with very few things. Some toasted sesame seeds, and then just more of those crispy leek tops. Storing this recipe is super easy, and I highly suggest you make it for meal prep. Just take what you haven't eaten, or maybe you just make it for meal prep, and store it in an airtight container in your fridge. I love it when it's that easy. Fried rice never fails to hit the spot, and this one did again. I hope you guys give this one a try and love it as much as I do.